Hey plant fam! Welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, my name is Jacqueline. This is part of my jungle, and if you are not new here, thank you so much for coming back. I really genuinely appreciate you. If you have watched a few videos and you're not subscribed yet, what are you doing? You should probably subscribe to my channel. I would appreciate it. It does really help me out if you are enjoying the content. So anyway, today I have a new series for you, and I don't even know what I'm gonna title this video. I haven't quite settled on what I want to call this series like at all, aside from like what's wrong with my plant, because I feel like I get that question a lot from you guys in the comment section and in my DMs. You love to ask me, what is going on with my plant? Why is it doing this? And can you help me? So I don't want to, I don't know, because I don't want to like, I want to be able to answer all the questions as well. So like if you just have like really general questions that you want me to answer, you can ask me those as well. My email is in the description box. I just ask that you title the email like, hey Jacqueline, what's wrong with my plant? So that I know that it's a submission for this, and feel free to send me photos of your plant. I can show them all of that good stuff so that we can figure it out together. Does that make sense? I hope that this is fun. It's meant to be fun, but also like educational in the best way that I can. If I don't know the answer to something, I'm literally just gonna Google it and look into it because I don't know everything about plants, but I have been doing this for a while, and I think that maybe I have a little bit of insight. Anyway, so I'm just gonna go through the questions. I posted this as a short back in, I don't even know. How do I find the details of this? This was posted on November 12th, and it's the beginning of January. Yes, I'm starting to feel a little bit better. For anyone who is wondering, my throat is definitely still scratchy, and I'm coughing like crazy. So hopefully we can get through this without a coughing fit or having to blow my nose 7 times. But otherwise, I am feeling much better. And I appreciate everybody who's been asking. So let's go through. I just have my laptop here in front of me because when I posted that short, you guys put a lot of your questions in the comments there. So I'm going to go through those. But moving forward, I would definitely, I don't mind if you leave them in the comment section of this video. I just might not see it. So you're better off emailing me or sending it to me in my DMs. I try really hard to check those like regularly and go through like my requests and stuff like that. Okay, so the first question that I have here is from Jen. Hi, Jen. And she wants to know, how do you keep Aglaonema alive? LOL, no, really. I've had 2 chocolate that had root rot from previous owners, and the rot was so aggressive I couldn't even root them or try to root the stems. When I water my Siam or the pink one I have, they always drop leaves. I'm about ready to give up on them altogether. So usually the issue, I mean, with the chocolate, I would say that the root rot hopefully wasn't because of you. It was probably already rotting when you got it, but that's going to be an issue with watering. Everything that you're saying in this comment tells me that there's inconsistent watering going on, or that the plant is in a medium that it does not want to be in. So it might be holding on to the moisture for too long. It's hard to know, but if your plant is dropping leaves every time you water it, like a few days after you water it, it's probably being overwatered. And overwatering doesn't necessarily mean too much water at one time. You might be watering it too frequently. It could also mean, like I said, the soil or the container that it's in is just holding on to the water for too long. So Aglaonema really aren't that tricky. They aren't super thirsty. They let you know when they're thirsty, and in my experience, they tend to be very forgiving. Now, this is going to vary, obviously, based on the specific type of Aglaonema that we're talking about. So there's always going to be types of, you know, different species and subspecies and varieties of a genus that are easier than others, and it's kind of hard to lump them all together. So to say that all Aglaonema are easygoing plants would be a lie, because I've killed like 3 tricolors, and there are some more like rare varieties that are more difficult to keep happy. And I think the Siam that you mentioned is one of those like thinner leaf ones that people struggle with. So keep that in mind. But the more like hardy, thicker leaved ones that you're finding at like Home Depot on the regular are much easier to care for. So I'd say with the 2 chocolates that when you got them, they were probably already not in great condition, and you may be watering too frequently. So I let my Aglaonemas get pretty dry, and they're fine with it as long as it's not one of those like thinner leafed varieties. So my Commutatum is completely fine getting dried out. I have that silver one, the Ghost Frosted, doesn't care, like literally could forget to water my Aglaonemas for quite some time and they would be fine. They would drop a couple of leaves. So there's a difference between a plant dropping a leaf that is like shriveled up and dry and a plant dropping a leaf that feels rotted. So I do have lots more questions for you than I do answers, but hopefully there was something helpful in there. My go-to with stuff like that is to try and switch out the medium. So if you have it in a really dense soil, maybe try something chunkier. If you have it in a ceramic pot, maybe try some terracotta if you like to water your plants frequently. So I do not water my plants frequently. I do not like to water my plants frequently. So I like plants that are going to be more drought tolerant and plants that are, you know, gonna put up with my neglect. And that is one of the reasons why I love Aglaonemas, because they do put up with a lot of neglect and they're still fine. So with the thinner leaf varieties, a lot of the time they're gonna need like more humidity and stuff too, so they're definitely more complicated to keep alive. I don't know very many people who have kept a tricolor alive for like more than a year. They're just, some of them are really tricky, so it depends. Feel free to answer these questions as well in the comments below if you guys have any extra insight for these people who need help with their plants. So yeah, that would be my best answer for you, is that there's some inconsistent watering happening if it's not overwatering. Because what can happen too is if you're super inconsistent and you wait too long to water a plant, the roots can shrivel up, and then when you water it again, they can't handle it and they can rot. So there's lots of things, unfortunately, that can go wrong when we water our plants inconsistently. Okay, NatJoy22, hey girl, wants to know, what's more important, humidity or warmth for plants? And then in parentheses, she put, I refuse to humidify my plant room since it shares a space with my yarn collection. Also, like, girl, your plant room is gorgeous. This is one of my Plant Fam members, in case you guys were wondering. So I have seen this plant room and it is absolutely gorgeous. All the yarn is really pretty the way you have it organized. So I don't blame you for not wanting to humidify the space. And the good news is you don't have to. So unless you're living in like the desert where there's no humidity all year long, I really don't see the point in running a humidifier. Are your plants gonna like it? Yeah, but do they need it? No, most plants don't. And if you have plants that require high humidity, then you just shouldn't have them in your space if you don't have high humidity. So, you know, it's one of my things that I don't love about anthuriums, because I can't enjoy, or at least like the nice velvety leaf anthuriums, like I can't enjoy them out in this space at all, which is a bummer. So I just don't have a lot of them. plus they're kind of a pain in the butt. So I'd say that warmth 100% is more important for a majority of plants over humidity. So most tropical plants are going to prefer like 60% humidity and like a nice warm temperature. I try to keep it around like 70 degrees, but that's just me. Yeah, they're tropical plants. So sorry, the heat just kicked on. Hopefully you can't hear it because I can't turn it off this time of year. It's just too cold. So yeah, I'd say if I had to say what's more important, humidity or warmth, I'm gonna say warmth pretty much 90% of the time, but it varies plant to plant, obviously. So no, if you just have a bunch of like pothos and begonias and hoyas and stuff like that, they don't need the humidity, but they will like it if you give them the extra humidity. So it's not necessary. I don't think you need a humidifier in your plant room to be a good plant parent. It's not a thing. I love my humidifier, don't get me wrong, and I prefer being in a more humid environment because I can like breathe better and my skin doesn't get super dry and all of that, but that's just me. So I'd say your plants are more likely to die if you expose them to the cold temperatures for too long than if you deprive them of humidity. You can acclimate them to a less humid environment. So there's that. Okay, question number 3 is from Sarah Schnapp. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but I hope I am. She says, wondering if I need to repot Hoya I bought through Costa Farms or just monitor and only repot if I see them struggling. I bought 2 Lacanosa, which were really wet, so just letting them dry out. Thanks. Okay, so I'm sorry that it took me so long to answer this question, but I'd say the rule of thumb for like all of your plants is to leave them alone for like a week or 2 before you bother the roots or anything like that. And I'm no stranger to buying a pot of Hoya from Costa Farms and have it be like completely drowning. So the best thing that I would say you can do with something like that is drying it out. Obviously you've got that handled. You can pull the whole pot, you could pull the whole like root ball out and lay it down on like some paper towels or like newspapers, whatever, to help absorb the excess water. But yeah, I would wait to repot it. Usually you don't want to go crazy disturbing the roots too much because you want the plant to acclimate, but that's not always the case for every plant. So I'd say that if you're worried about it, definitely wait a couple of weeks before you do anything crazy with your plants, but it depends on the plant. So with those Hoyas, I think like your best bet is just leave them alone. I haven't had too much of an issue. I'm looking at like some of the hanging baskets I have from Costa Farms that are all still in their hanging baskets and in their soil from Costa Farms. Just be mindful when you water it. Like, does it dry out fast enough, or is it sitting like with wet feet for too long? So I'd say after a couple of weeks, you're safe to repot it if you want to. It's a Hoya. It'll probably be fine. But I've done that a few times and killed plants, and then I've done that and had the plants be totally fine. So it's hard to say exactly, but I do hope that they're doing all right, because you did the right thing by letting them dry out. They do tend to overwater them. Okay, Teresa Avalar wants to know, what are your settings for your humidifier in the greenhouse? Do you keep it running all day and all night? No, I hardly run it in the greenhouse, to be honest with you, because it's already pretty humid in there on its own. The humidifier, I think, just helps me not have to like water them as much because I'm kind of lazy about watering. But I only put it on when it's necessary, like this time of year when it's chillier, or if I'm gonna have the greenhouse open. and letting it like air out, and I don't want it to lose its humidity. So if I do have the humidifier on in there, I keep it on like the lowest setting, and I don't leave it on for more than like 4 hours at a time. It has a timer on it. Yeah, I don't like it to be too humid in there either, because you don't want to create fungal problems. And my damn philodendrons and their extra floral nectaries, they're just sapping all over the place. And I feel like it's because it's high humidity in there, that they're just releasing like excess through the leaves, and it doesn't necessarily always look good. So yeah, I'd say that you don't necessarily need a humidifier in a greenhouse, and if you do put a humidifier in there, make sure you have really, really good airflow, like multiple fans and some ventilation, because you don't want to create a fungal problem. And it definitely 110% does not need to be on day and night, because the purpose of the greenhouse, like as a structure, is to help keep the humidity and the temperature up naturally. It's just, we learned about it in like, I don't know what, middle school, concept of like how greenhouses work. I haven't even turned it on actually in like a while, so because that would require me actually filling it up with water. Have you guys noticed a trend with my my plant care tactics? Okay, the hectic hobbyist, hey girl, wants to know, oh, this is a good one. Why is my orbifolia getting yellowing, crispy leaves? She's in the same place as all my other prayer plant type plants, but she's the one being a butthead. No obvious pests. And then she put in parentheses, maybe overwatered. Yeah, so it actually could be either one. It could be over or underwatered. So again, consistency is key with these plants. I find the same thing actually has been happening to mine. I'm not gonna lie to you. They've been like getting yellow and just like browning a little bit in certain spots, and it's because I haven't watered it enough. So just be really, really consistent with your watering on that one, and it should be fine. I know that you said there's no pests, but that doesn't also rule out like a potential fungal issue or something bacterial, viral, whatever. So treating it is never a bad option. Like that is always something that I put into my plan. Like for any plant that's unhappy, I always treat it, even if I don't think that it's pests, because you want to kind of check all the boxes. So it is also getting colder, and I don't really love the chillier temperatures. So I feel like my Calatheas this time of year just don't necessarily always look great, because they don't love the lack of sun and the colder temperatures. So I think that these plants are really, really easy, and that consistency is key with them for sure. Okay, next question. Sunny Shine says, Jacqueline, excellent idea. Thanks. I found your email. Oh, shoot. I gotta check my email. Sorry, girl. I'll have to do that one next time. Resend me the email if you see this. Like, forward it to me, because I don't know if I saved it. Okay. I don't know how to say that. I'm sorry. I'll leave it on the screen. If I were to use coco coir as a plant substrate, how might I provide my plant with the necessary nutrients? She said, for example, product, amounts, and schedule. So I don't use coco coir as a substrate because I hate it. It doesn't hold on to moisture at all, and that means I have to water it all the time, which I don't want to do, in case you haven't picked up on that. But yeah, just like any other substrate that you're going to use that doesn't have its own nutrients, you need to provide it with nutrients. So I would imagine watering it with any kind of like full spectrum fertilizer would be fine. But if you wanted to, like, I don't know, give it like, I don't even know, what do people put in like their leca and their pond? There's like nutrient solutions that you can use, but if I have a plant in like moss or perlite or something that I'm rooting up for a while, or I'm growing it in there, I just use the same fertilizer that I do on everything else when I water it, so that like it gets fertilized. So I would say you can use whatever fertilizer you're normally using on your plants, and just do it more frequently, because it doesn't really hold on to it the same way. So I grow my anthurium, my queen anthurium, in just straight moss, and I have to fertilize it like once a week because it is a heavy feeder and the moss doesn't really hold on to the nutrients the same way that the soil will. So I'd say the same thing. I'm sorry, I don't have a specific product amount or schedule for you, because it's gonna vary depending on like whatever. You can literally use whatever you want. I don't have one in particular that I think is better than the rest. I've been using the fish shit, but that's not necessarily a full spectrum fertilizer, so I'm using it in conjunction with other things. So I would say any like regular houseplant fertilizer is gonna be fine. I've been using the Espoma liquid fertilizer for years, and I haven't had any issues growing my plants in perlite or moss for extended periods of time and fertilizing them the same way as I do everything else. So hopefully that makes sense. Okay, Valerie said yes, love it. Have you tried leca or pot? No. No, girl, I have not. All right, I do have a few more here, so I think I'm gonna cut it here, because except for Deborah Estep wants to know, I love your videos, thank you. Variegated string of hearts, what am I doing wrong? I have a whole video on string of things in my plant care tips playlist if you want to check that out, because that's going to be like a more in-depth description. But the number one thing with any string of plants is top-down light. Make sure the top of that plant is getting the light, and you should be fine. That's really honestly the biggest mistake that most people make with string of hearts. So I hope that you guys enjoyed this. I hope I didn't ramble on too much. I gotta learn how to like get through the questions a little bit quicker, but I do want to keep them to like 5 or 6 questions each video. So let me know in the comments below if you enjoyed this, and I will film the rest of these questions. Feel free to send me more questions. Keep in mind that I'm not an expert, I'm not a botanist, I'm not a scientist, I'm not any of these things. I'm just a crazy plant lady with a lot of plants, and doing things with my plants, and I'm always learning, and I'm always happy to share that knowledge with you guys if I can. So don't come at me, I'm not an expert, I'm just trying to help, okay? So I hope that you had fun hanging out with me. If you did, you should give this video a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe. Hit the notification bell so you don't miss anything from me. There's a join button down there if you want to be part of the official plant fam. If not, there's a super thanks button if you want to super thanks me. Everything is appreciated. I literally cannot do this without you guys. And I feel so extremely blessed that you let me do this, and I love you. So there's that. I'm gonna go, and I hope I see you again soon for part 2, but it's kind of up to you guys. I gotta see how well this video performs, and then we'll keep doing it. Okay? Okay. I love you, fam, and I hope I see you in the next one. Bye!